Hello, welcome back to the James Ramon Reviews Vietnam episode. In today's episode, I actually have yet another review for you where I'm going to be talking about Gangers, the most recent Indian Tamil language movie. That is a big piece of words, a mouthful if you want to call it. So before we get into this, I will give you a bit of context on my theatre experience. I'll be reviewing, the movie as a whole. I'd give it a 10 without spoilers. Talk about the theatrical experience of going to the cinema, what it felt like with the movie, the crowd and all that. So there's all of that. If you want to know as well, for a fun fact, I kind of just saw this movie on my app on Cineworld. I was like, Gangers, there's another Bollywood kind of, well, not Bollywood, but just Indian South Asian cinematic movie coming out here. I was like, this could be interesting. So all what I do all the time is watch the trailer because then it'll get me invested. I'll be like, do I really want to go see this movie? And the good thing about Indian movies is that they could show you like three moments about the movie. Doesn't really spoil a lot, or as you go to see the movie, you forget the trailer, you just enjoy the experience you get, right? So that's what it kind of felt like again with this movie. So there's all of that. And so for that context alone, saw the movie last night at 7 o'clock showing, and I was like thinking to myself, this is not going to be a repeat of the Karma Nepalese movie where I just had like one other guy in the cinema with me on a Monday night because this was a Saturday night showing. It's like, oh yeah, this is going to get busy, this is going to get rowdy, this is going to get fun. And absolutely it does do that, and it absolutely did that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But so what you want to know about the movie is that you obviously got with an Indian movie, you're going to expect it to be a little over 2 hours long. You're going to expect to have an intermission. You're going to have all that good stuff. But what this movie is actually about, and now this is probably the best way to describe this, it's kind of like this Three Stooges storyline gimmick where there's these three guys, but it starts off in a simple place in a simple school, and then it escalates and they go into these escapades and these crazy silly scenarios. But it definitely feels like a movie that's just trying to entertain as much as possible, just going from gimmick to gimmick, gag for gag, joke for joke sort of thing. There's a few bits of action, not a lot of action, so it takes a different turn, has different twists, turns, reveals, as opposed to like the stereotypical Indian movie where you've got an action star on the horizon. There's a little bit of that, but this movie kind of goes for something a little bit different. So there's all of this to be considered, and I actually really did enjoy this movie, Gangars, or however you want to pronounce it right. It is not a perfect movie because I feel like that there is a lot of jokes that are really funny, but there is the one character that he does talk really fast, and I get it. It was really funny and everything, but even a couple of times like, oh no, I missed a piece of dialogue. Oh, what the heck? Why is he talking so fast? But then as soon as you start getting used to how the character feels, right, you understand. Yeah, this is just his kind of thing. This is how he plays the character. And there's a couple other characters they do play these stereotypical Indian actors and things, and they take a lot of tropes from other Indian movies and they use it as a comedic reference, as a comedic bit, and I just really appreciated that. Like the ways in which they would go to make you feel like you were entertained, the ways in which they would go to make you feel that like you were gonna laugh your ass off, and definitely felt like this was the movie that was doing that for me. And especially with the crowd audience, this was an actual blast at the cinema. I could hear people talking, shouting, rambling behind me. Just wow, absolutely excited for the movie, and that is what cinema is all about, baby. You gotta be excited, you gotta have fun, and that is actually amazing. Obviously, did not understand what on earth they were saying. There was no subtitles around before the movie started, so there was all of that. There was this really fun time with the audience. So honestly, yeah, really fun time at the cinema, and I got surprised because I remember as well. There was like an old guy at the very front of the cinema screen, right? And then I was like, there's actually people coming here and there and everywhere, and there was even I think there was like one or two people smiling at me, which is interesting, especially as the contrast of Arjun son of Vijantani from last week. Right, there was like 3 or 4 people smiling at me, so they could notice that I am a man of culture. I know that I'm getting into some different kind of stuff here, so I do say that a few times with other reviews, but it's just a point of reference where it's like, yeah, I understand. I'm getting into these things. So overall, at a 10 though, I'm probably gonna give this movie like a solid. The more time it sat with me since last night, solid like 8.5 out of 10. It's above average. It's close to being a 9 out of 10, but there are drawbacks with how some of the jokes are repetitive, and there is a few dance numbers that, yeah, that they are fun and everything, but if you think about it, they didn't really add much to the storyline. It was just kind of like a silly joke thing. And so definitely not a perfect movie, definitely not like the masterpiece performance on display that, this Arjun son of Anthony had, but you can't always guarantee that a movie experience is going to be as good as the last one. So there's all of that to be considered. So that's my review of, Gangers. A very fun Tamil language film. And this, I guess you could say, probably the last Indian movie of this month I'm going to be reviewing. As right now, it's the 27th of April. There's a few of them coming out in May, but I'm probably going to miss them because it's in limited release. So whenever I get to review another Indian movie, I'll definitely, drop a review and stuff like that. But definitely seen a few more Indian movies this month than usual. So all of that to be considered. Hope you enjoyed this review. I just really, really enjoy making videos like this and keep spreading the word, the good wisdom about this piece of cinema. So absolutely stay tuned for more reviews, and peace out for another video. Bye.